Now, the third type of abrogation is the Sunnah abrogates the Quran. So now this category is further subdivided into two categories. So a mutawatir hadith abrogates the Quran. So you didn't know this, but mutawatir hadith abrogates the Quran. This was allowed by Imam Malik, Abu Hanifa, okay, the Hanafi school, and one of the opinions of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So those are three of the founders of the schools of jurisprudence. The reason that both are forms of revelation from Allah. And of course, he's not mentioning Shafi here, but Shafi is the one who created the consensus that the Sunnah is revelation. So the Sunnah is considered Wahy, W-A-H-Y. It is revelation, secondary revelation, right? So the Sunnah is Wahy. So, and that's Shafi's doing. So, in other words, it's the agreement of all four of the founders of the school of fiqh that, yeah, the Hadith can abrogate the Quran. And since both give indisputable knowledge that they may abrogate one another. So there you go. Hadith abrogate the Quran. And in fact, when they speak of Sunnah, they also speak of the Sirah, right? Think of that. So an example of mutawatir hadith abrogating the Quran is the verse leaving the bequests to heirs. It is prescribed for you when one of you approaches death and he has wealth that he make a bequest to his parents and next of kin. That's 2:180. This ruling was abrogated by the hadith which said there is no bequest to an heir. Gewoon Frank. Yeah, you mean Petra. Yeah, exactly. I happen to agree with Dan Gibson on that point. It makes perfectly good sense that Petra is the home. Yeah. Gewoon Frank, greetings from Delft. Hello, Pinpoint, and everyone. Yeah. Awesome stuff. So, yeah. So, I guess you get this. The Sunnah definitely can abrogate the Quran, according to Yasir Qadhi. An Ahad Hadith. Now, this is a secondary level. It's not as authenticated as a mutawatir hadith, right? I have a show on this previously. So an ahad hadith is a secondary level. In other words, the chains of narration are not as secure. A mutawatir hadith could have, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 solid supposed chains of narration, or it could have five, but these are like by solidly well-known people of great authority. So the authority of the chains of transmission, even though the number may not be so high, but the authority of the chains of transmission are very strong. Ahad has like three, right? And maybe they're a little fuzzy, could be one or two a little suspect. So it's of a secondary level. It's not inauthentic, but it's certainly not considered as authentic as something that's mutawatir. But an ahad hadith can abrogate the Quran. Now, I does say most of the scholars did not allow this type of nasikh since they reasoned that mutawatir, blah, 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 except they did. Ahad hadith can abrogate the Quran according to Yasir Qadhi, although such occurrences are rare. It must be known for certain that the Ahad narration occurred after the revelation of the verse. An example of this, according to Ash-Shakiti, is the prohibition of the flesh of domesticated donkeys. It is known that this occurred during the Battle of Khaybar and as such abrogated the previous ruling that was allowed by the understanding of 1645. So yeah, if you're hungry and there's nothing else to eat, you eat donkey. Well, suddenly, hey, the law just changed. Okay, fine, that's how it happens. So Imam Shafi did not allow the Quran to abrogate the Sunnah, nor the Sunnah to abrogate the Quran. He felt the Quran could only abrogate the Quran, and the same with the Sunnah. He felt it, but what did he write? What's the ruling? Because when you look at the Sharia, well, maybe it says something a little different. So hence, you got to double check everything this man says. The Sunnah, abrogating the Sunnah. So Hadith can abrogate Hadith. This was also allowed by all those who upheld the validity of Naskh. And this may be divided into multiple categories. So understand, Quran abrogates Quran, Quran abrogates Hadith, and Sunnah, right? Sirah. Sirah, Sunnah abrogate Quran, and Hadith abrogate, well, Sunnah abrogates Sunnah, whatever. So you got multiple different categories, and these are all valid. He's not giving us all the examples. He does not provide all the examples. The final understanding is within the Sharia. It's in the fiqh. You need to look there to get this. So greetings from Brussels. Hello there. Player faint. When Jews come to Muhammad to judge an adultery, he goes to Taurat by passing Jesus in this matter. Yes. What happened to the surah of stoning of yeah, exactly. But stoning is still valid, player faint. Stoning is still valid in Islam. It's very much in the Sharia. It's very much allowed. So for instance, for adultery, which is a crime, stoning is very much allowed. In the case of a woman who's pregnant, you wait until the baby is born, until the baby can survive without the milk of its mother, and then you're allowed to stone the woman to death. So stoning is very much still Islamic law, and people do get stoned to death. So a mutawatir hadith abrogating another mutawatir hadith So hadith abrogates hadith. An ahad hadith can abrogate another ahad hadith. A mutawatir hadith can abrogate an ahad hadith. An ahad hadith, a lower level of authority, right? Hadith can abrogate a mutawatir hadith.